Sun 969, good morning. It's your More Music Request workday. All thanks to Petter Suspension and Brakes and Tyrite Alice Springs. You're here with Loz getting through till midday, and it is part one of the Ramble.
Well, no, this is part
two of the Ramble.
So we're going to go to part two now.
Yeah, well, we've already done part one.
We could do it again if you like.
I really should have.
We should have just done it again.
I really should have had more sleep last night.
I think both of us are a bit suffery this week, and
what is that? Is that my watch? It sounds like
no, it's just my phone.
That sounded like it was coming from this direction, so I'm like looking at my devices.
I'll just tell the person I'm on the radio and they can hear me, and I will come to them very soon.
Oh, someone on the phone now?
Yeah, but I'm just going to tell them that so they don't... but they can listen into the segment while we do the segment anyway.
Maybe mute it so that if they say something, it doesn't affect our microphones.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's muted the other way. It's off speaker anyway, so it's not on speaker.
Ah, okay, lovely. Well, on that note, I forget where we were going with this.
Okay, so we were talking about we had a cliffhanger for pork chops.
Oh yes, that's right. Yesterday we were talking about the weird expressions and sayings that seem completely normal until someone says, "What does that mean?" And you're like, I know what it means, but I don't know how to put into words what it means. Like when you're a kid and you're being silly, and your mum says, "Stop carrying on like a pork chop." Okay, yeah. I get that means to stop being silly, but I don't know where it came from. And we said this yesterday, and someone called and you spoke to them and they explained it.
Yes.
So now explain it.
So Tony called up and said, pork chops, when you're cooking them with a bit of, the crackling and a bit of fat, they dance around in the pan. They literally move around, and there's oil everywhere. It splatters onto the wall, splatters all over the place. So that's why it was called carrying on like a pork chop.
So something that's a bit silly, maybe a bit irritating, but annoying, got to clean the grease off the walls. So when Mum said stop carrying on like a pork chop, it really meant like cut it out, calm down.
Exactly, because it's just jumping around in the pan and making a real mess, splattering everywhere. I
think I heard that saying a lot as a kid, stop carrying on like a pork chop. I couldn't help myself, to the point where childhood memory that always sticks out when I think of my mum scolding me to stop being silly is I remember being at the supermarket, it wasn't a car, it was like a little Foodland or something, I don't know, but for some reason as we were walking through like the produce section, I had to just like touch everything. You know when you're a kid and you just have to touch everything?
I get so annoyed seeing kids touch things all the time.
I know. Okay, well I only did that one time, and I can tell you right now I learnt my lesson and never ever did it again.
So what did you touch?
So Mum kept telling me to stop, and it became like an OCD thing. I was like, I've only got like 2 things left to touch. I've got to do it. And Mum kept telling me to stop carrying on like a pork chop. Anyway, one of the last things I touched was a prickly pear.
Oh!
Hand was filled with prickles.
Oh.
And then I
can feel your pain already.
Started getting upset, and in true, generation whatever of my mother, she just went, well, I told you, and kept walking.
Did she have to get anything out of your hands?
Eventually when we got home, but I think she
Wouldn't that be a nice thing to do? Mum, come on.
Nah, she was like, well, you brought it on yourself.
Tough.
I told you numerous times to stop touching stuff.
We were tough in those days.
Yeah, and now she's like, and now guess what? Next time you listen to me. And to be fair, I did. I never did it again.
No.
Yeah. I realised the produce section was actually dangerous.
It's pretty dangerous. A prickly pear, my goodness.
Hand was full of prickles.
Wow, that's dangerous. Very dangerous. I think they have a weed in some places, prickly pears.
What even are they? I don't even think
they're
I've
a cacti.
Ever but I don't think I've ever eaten one. Is it like a fruit?
No, they are apparently quite nice inside, like a sweet thing. I don't know that I've tried them before, but they are a delicacy. But in Victoria, they were declared a weed. And I remember driving out sort of towards Whittlesea Way, which is out to the northeast of Melbourne.
Yep.
And there was almost like a farm of them, but it was like just looking at them in massive proportion.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think we might have had some as a kid too, but they were technically a weed.
Interesting, because this was in Victoria when
because they grow like crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway. There's another saying: growing like a weed.
Like a weed, or grow like crazy?
Remember they used to say you shut up like a weed, you grow like a weed?
Yes, exactly, there you go, because they shoot up very quickly, don't they?
Did you used to, speaking of fruit in Melbourne, did you used to do the strawberry picking and stuff?
Yeah, I've done that down near Geelong. Recently with my kids, we did that, and it was great fun. You just get a punnet or two, and
years.
Yeah, and you got to eat it. The problem was we were heading towards Mildura, right?
Yeah,
and so we had to eat all these strawberries by the time we got to Mildura, because they're a fruit area, and you got to dump your strawberries. So
you cross the border,
well, no, it's not across the border. It's just before you get into that zone. So we pulled up the car, and my daughter and I just tried to eat as many strawberries as we could. We almost got sick of them because we.
Oh my God.
And then we had to throw the rest in the bin.
We always used to do the strawberry picking on the way home from holidays, so that we would then take all the all the fruit home.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
And you also,
we weren't going via
anyone, if anyone is thinking about doing something like this when they're away on holiday, it's just another little FYI. If you don't want to take all of the fruit home with you, you can actually go and ask them if you just if the kids just want to pick fruit or whatever. They give you these special baskets that you then can pick the fruit and like essentially hand back to them, and it's like for their uses.
Oh, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, just for the fun of like picking the fruit.
But there's something good about it.
Yeah,
you know, when my kids were young, we took over a house that the family had for like 50 years, and there was a strawberry patch, so every year strawberries came up. And
nice.
when my son, we just used to go and visit that house before we lived in it, and my son, when he was about 1, would pick strawberries from that with his uncle.
Cute.
Yeah.
I really want to get fruit trees. I'm so not a green thumb. I am definitely a black thumb. But I really want to, because I get such bad hay fever, I've ripped out trees and everything at my house slowly over the years.
Well, strawberries aren't on a tree though.
Exactly. And because I want to be able to breathe in my own yard, right? And so I decided that the only things I would replant are things that had like secondary uses, like fruit trees, because you can eat the fruit.
Yeah.
Herbs, aloe vera, things like that, so that it wasn't just, oh, that's a pretty flower, because there's no point for me if a flower's pretty. I can't get close enough to enjoy it.
Well, this house that we took over had a whole lot of fruit trees, pears and apples and persimmon. Persimmon, like that's a rare one. But what I did was, we had a fig tree as well. I would cut the fig tree back; it would just come back easily.
Yeah.
But one year, when I first got there, I pruned. Oh, it had grapevines as well, and an avocado plant too, which didn't really get a lot of fruit being in Melbourne. But I tell you what, you can cut them back within an inch of their life, and you think you've killed them, because that's what I did. I cut them too much. In my first year there, I cut everything back way too much.
Yep.
And it didn't fruit for a year, but then the next year it was really good. So you can't really destroy them. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I used to do the grapevines every year. And obviously strawberries do come back. So that's the other thing. If you plant them in the ground, don't plant them in a pot. Have them in the ground.
Would strawberries grow here?
They do, yeah.
They do?
They do. And the other thing I used to look after is the roses. We talked about roses on here before. So, I would say I'm a semi-green thumb, and I've done a little bit of gardening in recent times.
Roses are one of the only flowers that I would plant because they're hypoallergenic.
Right.
So,
are they?
Yes. I know, because I've looked into it, what plants I could have around, if I wanted something pretty.
Yeah.
And roses were one of the only, they were like the first thing that came up that, they're hypoallergenic, but I was like, God, I'm already not a green thumb. I don't know if I could dive straight into the deep end of roses.
Well, I've planted some roses recently, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think it might be time for me to plant some more at your place. So we'll go.
I need to maybe dig up the garden first. We need to, I'm pretty sure, get a bulldozer into the backyard to level out the grass. Like, there's a lot that needs to be done before I can plant pretty flowers.
Yard. We talked about your front yard yesterday. Put some roses in your front yard. That's where traditionally roses have been put, particularly in the cities.
But that's where we had them as a kid. But big colour-on fences, can't even see them.
You'll see them.
Only if I sit in the driveway.
I'm sure there's something there. We'll have to have a look at it one day.
We'll have to figure it out.
Because just go down to Bunnings and get a whole bunch of roses.
I actually think at the show they have areas on horticulture and stuff like that, which will show what grows good here in Alice Springs, because obviously the climate.
Well, there's a guy called Jeff Myers. Do you know Jeff Myers?
Heard of, yes.
Yeah, he works on another radio station, or I don't know if he still does, and he's been talking about it for years and had his own shop in Eastside at one stage. And also our roadie here is really smart with this stuff. So roadie gave me advice when planting these roses recently.
Roadie actually gave me plants.
Yeah, there you
Peter
go.
Shea and myself, he gave us some lemongrass plants.
Yep. So there's plenty. You've got plenty of people around you to help you get this up and running. This rose garden of yours, your new rose garden. We've made a decision there. Now, what are you doing for the rest of your weekend?
I'm a fan of Concrete Jungle. The rest of the weekend, well, I mean, the show's on, obviously.
Yep.
Gubby's Muster.
Gubby's Muster, yep.
What else is on this weekend? I mean, I'll be working here on Sunday.
Yep.
So I guess it really just depends. I mean, Gubby's Muster is tomorrow. The show's tomorrow and Saturday. So it depends which way, which day I go to the show. And then, of course, Sunday is a day of rest. I'll relax. Also, Todmore Markets are on this Sunday as well.
Oh, good. That's
good. So if you want to make a big
maybe do that
weekend of it, you can wrap it up with something at the Todmore Markets.
Lovely. So that sounds good to me. Gubby's Muster, the show, and I obviously will be here tomorrow and Saturday morning as well. I'll be here.
Oh, yeah, I'll be here tomorrow too. Oh, yeah, today's Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll be here tomorrow.
And then Sunday for me and Saturday for you.
Saturday for me, yep.
And then the show back to business as usual on Monday. But we've got to get back into the More Music Request Workday. If there's a song you want to hear, let me know. 89555969.